Thomas Hood, Tim Turpin. Tim Turpin, he was gravel blind, and ne'er had seen the skies, for nature, when his head was made, forgot to dot his eyes. So like a Christmas pedagogue, poor Tim was forced to do, look out for pupils, for he had a vacancy for 2. There's some have specks to help their sight of objects dim and small, but Tim had specks within his eyes, and could not see at all. Now Tim he wooed a servant maid, and took her to his arms, for he like Pyramus had cast a wall-eye on her charms. By day she led him up and down, where'er he wished to jog, a happy wife, although she led the life of any dog. But just when Tim had lived a month in honey with his wife, a surgeon opened his Milton eyes like oysters with a knife. But when his eyes were opened thus, he wished them dark again, for when he looked upon his wife, he saw her very plain. Her face was bad, her figure worse, he couldn't bear to eat, for she was anything but like a grace before his meat. Now Tim he was a feeling man, for when his sight was thick, it made him feel for everything, but that was with a stick. So with a cudgel in his hand, it was not light or slim, he knocked at his wife's head until it opened unto him. And when the corpse was stiff and cold, he took his slaughtered spouse, and laid her in a heap with all the ashes of her house. But like a wicked murderer, he lived in constant fear, from day to day, and so he cut his throat from ear to ear. The neighbours fetched a doctor in. Said he, "This wound I dread can hardly be sewed up, his life is hanging on a thread." But when another week has gone, he gave him stronger hope, instead of hanging on a thread, of hanging on a rope. Ah, when he hid his bloody work in ashes round about, how little he supposed the truth would soon be sifted out. But when the parish dustman came, his rubbish to withdraw, he found more dust within the heap than he contracted for. A dozen men to try the fact were sworn that very day, but though they all were jurors, yet no conjurers were they. Said Tim unto those jurymen, "You need not waste your breath, for I confess myself at once the author of her death. And oh, when I reflect upon the blood that I have spilt, just like a button is my soul, inscribed with double guilt." Then turning round his head again, he saw before his eyes a great judge and a little judge, the judges of a size. The great judge took his judgment cap and put it on his head, and sentenced Tim by law to hang till he was 3 times dead. So he was tried, and he was hung, fit punishment for such, on Horsham drop, and none can say it was a drop too much.